You know what that means? It means that we're working on a new picture of the White House and they didn't have it ready for showtime. So they wasted time putting that together. That's old Joe back there having some fun. Well, that just means we'll have to watch tomorrow's show together, won't we, to find out what that new graphic is. It's day 111 of the Raw Deal. I wonder if there's any significance in a karma or cosmic sense, 3 ones. You know, 666 is a bad sign. Here we are at day 111. I wonder if the sign of the ones. We'll find out. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Packwood. There's some amazing stuff that happened today in Washington regarding Senator Packwood and some sexual harassment charges that he has had to deal with. The Senate Rules Committee today got together and actually conducted hearings on an unbelievable effort to have him thrown out of the Senate. We'll detail that for you on tonight's program. This is Anita Hill. We have been, as you probably know, ooh. You hear that? Sounds to me like there's some displeasure for Ms. Hill in our audience. I think, in fact, grab the Bible here. Look at that. See, it stood up. Look at that. Can we get a shot of this? Can we get a shot of this? Get a shot of that, Jill. Look at that. That book just fell out of the shelf, and most books, when they fall, would land like that. This one, I'm glad it did. I had to bend over less. Pick it up. And did you notice, by the way, I violated a rule? I never bend over forward in public, especially in these times. But I wrote a chapter in this book, folks, which, by the way, this book has climbed back up to number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list. And I wrote an entire chapter on the Anita Hill sexual harassment phenomenon in this book, and used as much of my information some of the early work done by David Brock, who has written a book called The Real Anita Hill, which is just now hitting the New York Times bestseller list itself. And in this that I wrote, I draw the conclusion that by the time the truth surfaces about Anita Hill, those who championed her cause based on the fact they thought she was telling the truth are going to be profoundly embarrassed. And I think that is beginning to happen now. We are going to talk a little bit about the book, and we will dovetail the discussion of Anita Hill with some really crazy, silly political correctness or political cleansing, which occurred last week at the University of Maryland. Now, this is a wolf. This wolf, contrary to what you may it look like to you, this wolf is not dead. The wolf is happy. This is a wolf that is perfectly happy to live inside a fence built by humans. And this fact angered some animal rights activists in Minneapolis, actually at the St. Paul Zoo earlier last week. And we'll give you details and even show you some videotape of it. Now, before we go to the break, some of you may have seen this in your local paper. It has not. I find this very interesting. I scour newspapers, folks. I mean, I read newspapers day in and day out. I would, regardless of my job. It's just something I like to do. And I didn't see in any New York paper what I'm going to show you. Now, you may have seen it in your paper. I know that it appeared in a bunch of them because this is how I heard about it. A bunch of Hollywood leftists, a bunch of Hollywood entertainers. Who's that guy? What are we playing, Hollywood Squares here on this show now? Put that picture back up. Let's see. Very, very, very interesting. All right. Now, I want to share with you just a paragraph of a letter that those people sent to President Clinton. Here we go. We ask that you respond to what we know are your truest human impulses and take the strong, unflinching action necessary. Airstrikes, lifted embargo, you know what must be done far better than we. You don't need Britain or France or Russia or the Pentagon. You are our commander-in-chief. Now, the signatories to this letter are, among others, put the shot back up there, Chet, Robert Altman, Jeff Bridges, James Brooks, Robert De Niro, Michael Douglas, David Geffen, Whoopi Goldberg, Lee Grant, Sherry Lansing, Jack Lemmon, Penny Marshall, Ron Silver, ladies and gentlemen. Now, who are these people? These people are very much tilted to the left. These are Hollywood stars. But interesting to note, any time the United States has sought to use force anywhere, these people have written an open letter to the Republican president at the time, Reagan or Bush, and they've signed it, and they've demanded that we not use force, that we let sanctions work, that we keep embargoes on. But we must not kill people. Why, we must be honest and true to our good intentions and our good works. Now that Clinton's president, they want to go in there and make war. They're talking about Bosnia here. How many of you people, I'm going to ask you in the audience too, this is something that amazes me. I'm watching TV ever since this whole Bosnia thing started. And the other night, I guess it was on the Capitol Gang, I saw Mark Shields. I was first on television on Nightline with Mark Shields as the guest, back when we were deploying troops in Desert Shield. This was in the fall of 1990. And the subject of the Nightline was a column Shields had written, which said basically, this is not a war that we can fight with this current army we have. This is a volunteer force. It's not a force ready to fight. Besides that, it's unfairly comprised. The sons and daughters of the rich aren't there. And Ted Koppel loved that premise, so we did a show on whether or not the army was equipped and well enough trained. And we all know the answer, that it was one of the best equipped and best trained armies in the United States, and they did their job flawlessly. I saw Mark Shields on TV Saturday night demanding that we've got to go. We've got to go in there. With the moral requirements of being the leader of the free world, we have to go in there. I didn't hear him worrying about whether or not we're equipped. I didn't hear him worrying about the sons and daughters of the rich not being part of this particular voluntary army. I didn't hear any of the concerns. And I also heard something else. This just blows my mind. It was pointed out to Mr. Shields that, hey, and I firmly believe this, folks, I think that we as human beings are incapable of absorbing all of the human misery that there is on the planet at a given time. We're just incapable of dealing with it. But now look how we're deciding whether we're going to go to war or not, and that's whether or not we have pictures. If we have pictures from these places and see these horrors, we're moved. Liberals, oh, people are dying. We've got to do something. We've got to go in there. We've got to make a moral thing. Can we win? It doesn't matter. We got to do something. And somebody pointed this out, this contradiction. And Shields said, well, these people are dying over there. There's ethnic cleansing. And I'm saying, wait a minute. Some wars are better than others? People die in war. That's what war is. The definition of armies: kill people and break things. Now, all of a sudden in Bosnia, simply because somebody has put the words ethnic cleansing in front of the killing, it's worse killing. So now you got liberals agreeing, I wonder if they figured this out, that some killing is okay and other killing is just intolerable. The killing in Bosnia, intolerable. The killing elsewhere, well, it's not ethnic cleansing, so what the hell? I mean, the contradictions here are crazy. And just like this stupid letter, I want to show you a clip, or actually not a clip, but the text of a statement made by Ron Silver, who signs this letter, there he is, wants us to go in and drop bombs, wants us to go and start killing. People are dying, we got to do something. So he signs this letter. But back during Inauguration Week, Sunday prior to the inauguration, there was a big bash at the Lincoln Memorial. You remembered all these singers from the Hollywood left are showing up singing songs of freedom. Freedom, freedom. We're all singing around, where have they been in jail? What? How are they in prison? So, during this little celebration, there's a flyby of Navy jets. And Ron Silver looks up and got really mad. Here's what he said. Put that up there, Chet. At first, I was aghast at the clash of the images. Pacifist versus militaristic. Liberal versus conservative. Us versus them. But then it came to me. Hey, those planes are ours now. Those are our planes. Ron, they were your planes then, and they're your planes now. But just because they're your planes, and I thought I'd define pacifist for you folks, just so you'll know, because here's what pacifist is: one who opposes war and advocates the settling of disputes by arbitration. And Ron Silver has just signed a letter saying we got to go to war. I mean, the hypocrisy and the contradictions you get from these people are just flat out hard to keep up with. That's why you're fortunate to have me as host to keep up with it for you. We'll be back with the rest of the show right after this. Because I was being so brilliant, so salient, so full of common sense, I love myself when I'm that way, and that's most of the time. I ran long on the first segment, so we got to go real fast here on this next segment. Today, Monday, depending on when you see this show, the Senate Rules Committee charted new ground. Senator Bob Packwood, there he is, who has been accused of sexual harassment by 13 women, refuses to resign. These people who are mad have demanded that Packwood quit and just get out of the Senate because he's such a horrible guy. One of the funny things that happened during the hearings today is Senator Daniel Inouye. There he is now, speaking of the devil. Senator Inouye is the chairman of the Rules Committee. He himself has been accused of sexual harassment by 9 women. But he's a Democrat, and those women were hairdressers in Hawaii. They can't easily get to Washington and testify. And so it doesn't count as much with Packwood. Packwood's a Republican. Got to get him out of there, even though he's been one of the best votes the feminists have had on their issues. It really is a strange. 250 Oregonians, just a large number. 250 people signed a petition demanding get rid of him. And you know what the charge is? Try this. He lied to reporters. He lied about his sexual harassment to reporters. And he lied to the Washington Post about what he was going to do to those women who accused him. And so now they're saying, why, he was elected because of fraud. He lied to us about his sexual conduct, and so we didn't know it, and he was elected on a false basis. I said, whoa. My memory, went into... Because I remember there was this woman once. What was her name? Flowers? Now, I can't remember. My problem is she accused some guy of having an affair with her. And whoever this guy was, a big guy. I'm having a mental block. I can't think of who it could have been. But this guy he denied it. It didn't happen. As she insists. She had tapes even. She had tapes. His voice was on there. Who was it? I can't remember who was. The audience bought it. Of course I know it's Clinton. I'm trying. My point is, and Bill Clinton didn't stop with lies about sex. He's lied about taxes. He's lied about health care. He's lied. If they get rid of Packwood, if the Senate Rules Committee decides to get rid of Packwood because he lied to reporters, this may be our answer. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. Hey, know how to combat liberalism? That's right, by reading my newsletter. Each month, the Limbaugh letter eloquently articulates the truth, my viewpoint. I obliterate the absurdities put forth by the dominant media with my characteristic confidence and good cheer. A subscription to my newsletter is like a year-long scholarship to the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. So call 800-235-8900 now for the low charter subscriber rate of $29.95. Call now. We're back. Now, my friends, this next segment on the Anita Hill situation is about this book by David Brock, Anita Hill, The Untold Story. David Brock's a Washington investigative journalist, worked very hard in this book. It is brilliant. This book, by the way, they're doing everything they can to keep this book squelched. For example, he's an author, and authors go on television to promote their books, right? You go on the Today Show, you go on whatever show to promote your book. With David Brock, they have refused to let him on TV unless somebody from the other side comes on to debate the issue with him. And the other side, being very smart, has refused to come on, thereby keeping Brock off the air. And the reason is because everything in here is true. I really would suggest you get this book and read it because it's so important. Anita Hill has become a cause, but the things that she accused Clarence Thomas of are not provable. But it doesn't matter. People think the seriousness of the charges is more important than the nature of the evidence, and that should never be the case. Now, there's one point in here that just, in my mind, renders everything else in here second status, and that is that Judge Susan Hirchner, who was one of the 4 corroborating witnesses that was called to testify on Anita Hill's behalf, testified that Anita Hill called her in the spring of '81 and said that I'd been harassed by my supervisor. Spring of '81. And Clarence Thomas did not hire Anita Hill till the fall of '81. They didn't even meet until the fall of 80. And Brock says that Hirchner has perjured herself. Get this book and read this, because this whole sexual harassment thing, as we see now with the Packwood business, and next, try this. This is where this kind of stuff takes us. University of Maryland, 9 feminists, very, very angry, decided to publish a list of names of many men enrolled at the university, chosen at random. See this? And notice these men are potential rapists, it said. And they just lifted, Women's Coalition for Change, they just lifted some names out of the phone book. Now, if we were to turn this around and do this on TV and put real names in there and say these women are in love with a Marlboro Man or something like that, if we did that, we would be sued for libel. We couldn't do it. We could not do on TV even a parody using real names of what they did. And this is a classic example of the silliness of PC just getting totally out of hand. It's making it tougher for the true PC believers to even side with these people. But I've noticed something strange. Put that back up, Chet, if you can, that list of names. If you look very carefully on the left side, you see, look at that, Kennedy. Kennedy, these men are potential rapists. Kennedy? I bet I saw 5 Kennedys in there on the left side, which this thing could be true. Now, we have decided, here is what the men at the University of Maryland ought to do. You always respond with humor. We have prepared a list. What they ought to do is get a bunch of women students, female students, and publish their names under these headings. Try this. These women are easy. These women bake great cookies. That'd really insult them. These women would be great mothers. That would really make them mad. That's not what these women are pro-life. Ooh, would that not... These women believed Clarence Thomas. We could really insult these women at the University of Maryland if you do this, and these women would love a date with a Marlboro Man. Back with wolves if we have to. We'll have time. We come back right after this. Don't go away.
They say the Anita Hill effect helped elect radical feminists to Congress, Bill Clinton to the White House, and change the course of American history. But now history catches up with Anita Hill. The American Spectator has obtained a limited number of the blockbuster new book of the year, The Real Anita Hill, The Untold Story, published by the Free Press. You can purchase this shocking expose in bookstores, or get it free by subscribing to the American Spectator. Author David Brock uncovers evidence about Anita Hill that has been censored by liberals, her lifetime pattern of crying sexual harassment, her political radicalism, and most important, her likely motivation for destroying the career of Clarence Thomas. Call 1-800-332-3900 and subscribe to the American Spectator. We'll rush you a free copy of The Real Anita Hill, The Untold Story. For $34.95, you'll get 12 issues of the American Spectator and your free copy of the Anita Hill book. Call 1-800-332-3900. Our supply's limited, so first come, first serve. Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-332-3900 now.
Because of my supreme talent at brevity, we have some time. So here we're going to show you just a little bit of the Anita Hill man on the street. We asked people, do you believe her or him? Here are some of the answers we got.
Who did you believe more, Anita Hill or Clarence Thomas, and why?
Anita Hill. She had less reason to lie.
I believe Clarence Thomas.
Good.
And I think he would say the facts.
Anita Hill, because I'm a feminist.
See? That's exactly... Is that the only reason?
Well, I think I believe her more.
Why?
Because I'm a woman and I can relate to her. And I think a lot of women have the same problems as she is.
Neither one. They're both liars.
Clarence Thomas, because of his background. He has a religious school education. He worked his way up to a very prominent status. Yeah. And he was generally the believable individual for that basis.
I think we've seen enough because we are running out of time here. And if you'll note, all of the women agree simply because she's a woman. Doesn't matter what she said. Doesn't matter a hill of beans whether she was telling the truth. And there's one guy who said, I think they're both lying. Don't fall into that trap. We don't want to believe they're both, one of them's bad. We'll believe they're both bad and spread it around, and therefore we'll believe that it's somehow easier to cope with that way. as far as I'm concerned, Anita Hill is a flat-out liar. I'm sorry, I'm just going to tell you point blank. Now, roll this tape here. The other day, some animal rights activists stole into the St. Paul Zoo and did this. They cut a hole in the fence where the wolves are. And they wanted the wolves to leave. They called the TV stations in Minneapolis and said, hey, we're going to let the wolves loose. We're going to liberate them. So head on down and take a look. The wolves didn't leave. The wolves stayed on the side of the fence where they stayed asleep. Furthermore, now here's what some of these animal rights extremists do, and they burned up cars and graffiti and all that. Now here's the thing about this, folks. They even spread a whole bunch of chunks of raw beef on the trail outside that hole in the fence that you saw, trying to get the wolves to go. The wolves didn't mind. The wolves were raised by humans, actually liked humans. Imagine that. Animal rights activists aren't going to be able to stomach that too well. It just goes to show you that not all creatures desire to be freed from human bondage. And it goes to show you the destructive nature of some animal rights extremists. We're out of time for today's show, but we'll be back with another one soon. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following. Rush Limbaugh's Wardrobe by Rochester, Big and Tall.
Quit chewing tobacco with new mint snuff, all mint chew. Mint snuff is made from mint, not tobacco. For a store near you, call 1-800-EAT-MINT.
Eliminate shake, rattle, and roll in the back of your vehicle with Load Hugger. Fits all makes and models of cars, trucks, vans, and sport utility vehicles. Load Hugger cargo nets.
Send your Rush video to The Rush Limbaugh Show, 515 West 57th Street, New York City, New York, 10019.
If you'd like to order a video cassette of Rush's TV show for only $24.95, just call 1-800-FOR-VIDEO. For a transcript, send $5 to Burrell's Transcripts, Box 7, Livingston, New Jersey, 07039, or call 1-800-777-TEXT.
All right, people, the voters are screaming about violent crime. What are we going to tell them?
How about the truth? We're not keeping violent criminals in prison.
Sir, 35 states are under court order to release criminals.
The average criminal set free will commit 187 more crimes a year.
We're out of prison space.
We gotta make more. Good people are getting hurt bad.
With the likelihood of arrest and conviction, a murderer will spend 1.8 years in prison.
Yeah, and a rapist a couple of months.
I'm not in the prison building business.
We're in the re-election business.
Thank you.
Listen, just a handful of repeat offenders commit most violent crimes.
We could just stop letting them go.
Look, stop giving me the facts and start giving me headlines.
How about another gun control law?
Yeah, we've already got 20,000 of them.
It just don't work.
So my gun control plan to restrict firearm sales to citizens will break the back of violent crime and rid our streets of violent criminals. Do we have any questions?
Don't let politicians get away with murder. Join the NRA.
Documented to be almost always right 94.5% of the time. I am Rush Limbaugh, serving humanity. Let me tell you what the new cause is.
I think your program, Rush, is absolutely fabulous, and what you're doing to this dirtbag, I mean, just fabulous.
I am a compassionate guy.
Rush, only on Hot Talk 1260.